I'm Diamond Lewis, Director of DCTV. Welcome to this DCTV Spotlight feature, where we shine a light on DeKalb's leaders and unsung heroes, including some of our female leaders who are making a positive mark in our communities. We are honored to introduce today Anne Lerner, a remarkable individual who has dedicated more than 2 decades to serving DeKalb County. In addition to her role as Tucker City Council member, she has served as a teacher in DeKalb County and an editorial producer at CNN, and even previously held the position of a DeKalb County Planning Commissioner. Ms. Lerner is also recognized for her extensive experience in marketing and public relations, working as a specialist with Jackson Spalding. She currently serves as the Public Affairs Director at the Georgia Transmission Corporation. We turn now to our inspired interview with Ms. Lerner in DCTV studio, where she highlighted her inspiring journey of leadership and of service. I am thrilled today to have my dear friend here in our studio. Anne Lerner, thank you so much for joining us today.
Diamond, it is so good to be with you. And I know we've stayed in touch through the years through Leadership DeKalb, but I'm so proud of you and all the work that you're doing here at DCTV.
Of course, you scooped my first question already. I'm sorry, this is a tough one. I'm sorry, what's the best Leadership DeKalb class ever?
2014.
Absolutely. Had to get that in there. Everybody's going to have a fit.
I know, they will.
But you know, we've stayed in touch because honestly, as I'm out in the community reporting on DCTV related stories and topics, you're always here, there, and everywhere. You are out in the community more than, most folks I know. Talk to me about your love for DeKalb County as a 25-year Tucker resident.
I love DeKalb. DeKalb has afforded me so many opportunities to get involved, roll up my sleeves, help solve problems, come to the table. I first started as a volunteer in Tucker many years ago when we moved into our neighborhood, and I got to meet folks in DeKalb, street level folks, our sanitation workers, our pothole fillers, and then they noticed I was a volunteer. I was out picking up trash on the side of the road with Keep DeKalb Beautiful. One time, I'm a former teacher. My students said to me, Mrs. Lerner, what did you do? I said, what do you mean, what did I do? They said, we saw you picking up trash. They thought I had gotten in trouble. They thought I had some kind of arrest record or something, so they were fun. But I got to know our leaders in DeKalb, our community leaders and then our elected leaders, and they trusted me. I was on community council, and then I served on planning commission. And then, through my work with the city of Tucker was never about separating from DeKalb. It was about keeping our community together and working with DeKalb, and we've continued to do that.
You actually served on the inaugural city council for the city of Tucker. Talk to me about that time and creating that history for this city here in DeKalb County.
I think we've talked about this before. Never went into volunteering, never even thought about, Tucker becoming a city. And our hand was a little forced. There was another community that wanted to come in and chop Tucker up. And we said, no, we're a community. We've always worked together. We want to stay together. And I think at the time, we were just working for the good of the community. Yeah. We weren't thinking about elections and we weren't thinking about all those other things. And then we passed the referendum and we said, who is going to run? And I said, well, I've got experience with DeKalb. I've got experience with planning commission and zoning. And so it was really a startup. But I will say, and I've always said this to people, is that we were built on a solid foundation of many years of community organizations, building partnerships, doing the work. When we were at the Capitol, many people already thought we were a city, because of those people who came before us and because of the work that the inaugural council had done previously in the community. So when I look back at all of that, it was amazing. I think somebody should write a book, but I'm not slowing down to take the time to do that.
Of course not. So you have an incredible portfolio of work where it's really diverse. You worked at CNN for several years. You were a school teacher for many years. During one of those years, you won Teacher of the Year in DeKalb County. And then you said, you know what? This passion for my community is forcing me to accept the call to serve. Talk to me about just the role of an elected official here in DeKalb County. What does that mean? The incredible responsibility that goes along with that.
It is an incredible responsibility. And I'm not sure if a lot of people realize that, I've heard people before say, I'm going to run for office. I think it would be fun. You do it because you're committed to making life better and solving problems. I'm not going to say it's fun, but it has been probably one of my greatest accomplishments besides teaching. I think that's number one. You have to have inner confidence and you have to have emotional strength because you're making tough decisions that impact people's lives. And you can't make those decisions because a neighbor is going to be mad at me. And I've had that. I've had that with Planning Commission and City Council. You have to think about, in Tucker's sense, 37,000 people. And I've had neighbors and I've lost relationships, sometimes because of decisions that we've had to make. But in the end, they've been the best decisions for the entire community.
Wow. And would you tell me, what would you consider to be your greatest accomplishment thus far throughout your very diverse career?
I am grateful for that diverse career because I have seen a lot, I have learned a lot, I have done a lot, and I've met amazing people. But there's that quote that says it doesn't matter what's in your bank account, what kind of house you live in, the car you drive, have you made a difference in the life of a child? And that, to me, teaching at Stone Mountain Middle School for 10 years, I loved it. I learned a lot from my students. And when you're in the classroom, you don't think about the larger impact you're having on their lives, right? It's English and it's testing and it's also life skills. But I have mentored one of my students. She's now in her mid-30s. She has been successful. She lived high school life in a extended stay motel on Memorial Drive, and she ended up going to UGA. She ended up working in Washington, D.C., in New York, and now she's in Chicago. And just last Friday, we went out to dinner because when she comes home, she wants to see me. She calls me for advice, or she just calls me to talk. And so I really, really appreciate that. And I'll have students call me out of the blue. They'll find me, they'll ask me questions, they'll ask for advice. They just want to see what's going on in life. And I think to me, that's probably the most important thing that I have done. And I hope, sometimes they've shared, like, I heard your voice tell me, be nice to everybody. Or, what would Mrs. Lerner do? And I said, good, I'm glad that I had some impact on them. And at the time you don't know it, but I'm glad that I'm glad to see that happen.
That's incredible. And that's what success to me is all about. It's about being able to help others. And if you have the heart to help others, that's when you feel like you're doing your job. You feel fulfilled.
That's right.
Yep.
That is spot on.
Yep. So now folks may watch you and say, well, she's got it going on. She's got a lot happening, but certainly you have had to overcome some challenges in life. Why don't you talk to us about that? What would you consider to be one of the greatest challenges you've overcome, and talk to us about that path and how you continue to pursue whatever your dreams were at that time?
I think the hardest thing is, and from my career path, and you're this kind of person too, you want to help everybody and you want to please everybody. And it has been a tough road, I know, right? And that's that being women, we're nurturers, right? And we're problem solvers. And so I've had to learn, again, to have that inner strength and emotional confidence to be able to say no, to be able to make tough decisions, to be able to sit at a table, listen to others with differing opinions, maybe bring some alignment together, to compromise along the way, teach others how to compromise along the way. And it's, I hate to say, I think sometimes it comes with age and experience and watching other great leaders and what they do. And you have to remember, it's not about you, right? No one's looking at what you're wearing and what you're doing. You have to just have that confidence in yourself that you're making the right decisions and doing the right things for the success of others.
That's phenomenal. Now, Anne, I really should have had you in our studio many, many years ago because you're doing so much. But I have to give credit to Commissioner Patrick. He actually saluted you and several other women who are doing incredible work in the community for Women's History Month. You make history every day, but that is why we brought you in here. So talk to me about the trajectory of the plight of the career woman in this phase of where we are. How far have we come?
So what was that advertisement? We've come a long way, baby. But I still think we have a long way to go. Women are natural born leaders. Women are problem solvers, and we're nurturers. And as somebody said the other day, we get stuff done. Although she didn't say stuff, but I won't say that. I won't say that here with you. But we get stuff done. And I feel like there is still sometimes a double standard, right? We're taking care of everybody else. We're looking at women suffering in the workplace due to childcare, lack of affordable childcare. We're looking at, and don't want to get too political, but we're looking at the gender gap in pay still.
Absolutely.
After all these years, we're still seeing that. And it might not have been my plight or my journey, but other people's journeys too. And I hear from them. Or, sometimes when we're decisive women, we can be labeled other things that I can't say here either, right. But we can be pushy, but maybe for a man, that's a great leadership trait, but the woman is pushy. And so we're still seeing some of that. And politically, I'm just going to have to say, we're also looking at men still making our reproductive health decisions for us. So I always want women to feel like we can still push forward, we can still move forward, do what you can do, like you said, every day. Make your own history every day. Don't compare yourself to other people. Do your best for you and your family. Get that job, get that role, get that opportunity, become that elected official because you're the best. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness you're a woman.
There you go. Final question for young women or even seasoned women who may be considering a career change or so. What advice would you give to women just to keep working on shattering that glass ceiling?
Sure. Well, I would say, one, maybe don't focus so much on that glass ceiling or making your mark. Focus on you, embrace who you are, embrace your strengths. Don't worry about those weaknesses. Embrace your strengths and use those strengths to help others learn, grow, and be successful. Sit at the table, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask critical questions. Ask questions that will get people thinking. Ask questions to gain clarity, right? And also anticipate. A lot of people don't anticipate things anymore. They're not strategic thinkers. Be the person that thinks 3 steps ahead and solve those problems before they happen. Be that person that goes the extra mile. Anticipate what those around you need. And finally, build alignment. That's so important these days, right? It's not black or white. There's a lot of gray. If you can be the person on your team that looks at the differences, finds the commonalities, and brings people together, and maybe everybody has to compromise, but that's okay because you're still moving forward and getting things done. Be that person. Be that person that brings cohesion and solutions.
Anne Lerner, thank you so much for joining us today, for giving us such great words of wisdom, and for being my friend.
Thank you for being my friend. Like I said, I'm so proud of you. I love you.
Thank you.
And
I love you
I'm
too.
just so excited for what we're going to continue to do together for DeKalb.
Absolutely. Bottom line, girls rock.
That's right. Girls rock.
Well, that wraps up another fascinating conversation. Thanks so much for watching DCTV. I'm Diamond Lewis, and I'll see you next time.